Jen said we could go use them while we all set up here now.
I think we're good.
Oh, okay. I send my apologies. Sorry, I was just checking on another room in case we had to move, but we're here now. So I'm going to restart the meeting. So good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this working session of the Pullman Community Montessori Board to order. We're going to do a roll call of board members. So here, Beverly Wolf here, Robin McDonald here, Anna Burton here,
Aubrey Guyton here.
Thank you, everyone. Before we proceed further, I'd like to remind the audience of the difference between a working session and a regular board meeting. I just received this question very recently via a text.
Recording in progress.
Via a text. A regular board meeting typically follows a structured agenda during which we address formal business matters, such as approving minutes, considering policy changes, reviewing financial reports, and voting on resolutions. These meetings are conducted according to parliamentary procedures and are open to the public. On the other hand, a working session is a more informal gathering designated to facilitate discussion and collaboration among board members and administrative staff. We use this time, as we will be doing this evening, to interview prospective Board of Trustees, plan activities and events, participate in board training, and to delve deeper into specific topics and explore potential solutions to challenges facing the school. While working sessions are open to the public, they do not usually involve formal votes or decisions. Instead, they serve as a forum for brainstorming and strategic planning. However, in recognition of the importance of being responsive to the needs of our school and community, we have allocated some time during today's working session for voting on urgent matters that require immediate attention. Additionally, I am pleased to announce that we have two prospective trustees who are interested in volunteering their time and expertise to join our team of dedicated volunteer board of trustees. We'll be conducting prospective trustee interviews today and are excited about the fresh perspectives they could bring to our discussions and decisions. This evening, we need to add critical organizational updates to the agenda per work the board has been engaged in to respond to the Charter Commission's notices of perceived problems and request for immediate correction. Therefore, we will be changing the agenda around. Do I have a motion to change the order of the agenda?
I would like to make a motion to change the order of the agenda.
I will second it. Okay. Would you like to read out the items of the agenda?
So first we'll vote on board officers, and then change of teacher record, third party investigation, organization, and then followed by organizational updates in response to the Commission's notice of perceived problems, and followed by prospective trustee interviews with a fiscal update, and then our closing.
Okay. We've had a proposal, we've had a second. Are there any questions? Okay, but all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously. So we're going to start with board officer change. Our school is on a path that requires a leadership transition. We've acknowledged this in previous board meetings. In order to foster a smooth transition, I'd like to propose that we begin transferring some of the leadership duties, specifically the role of the board chair, to a current board member with a strong track record of organizational management and human resources expertise. I'd like to nominate board member Robin McDonald. Robin not only brings business management experience, but she's also a current parent and trusted member of the community. Robin is able to wear these multiple hats with unique objectivity and has demonstrated her ability to hold the school's best interest in mind in all actions and decision making. With this transition, per our bylaws, we need a board secretary. In stepping down from the chair position, I would be willing to assume the role of board secretary. Any discussion? Then, do we have a motion?
I will move to elect board member Robin McDonald as board chair and board member Beth Wolf as board secretary.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Aye.
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 It does feel a bit funny voting for ourselves, right? It does, but it's necessary with our small board. At this moment, I'd also like to ask that the board can formally accept Dory's verbal resignation, which she made during the 2/26/24 board meeting. Again, we'll need a motion and a second.
I motion to accept Dory's resignation.
Thank you. Second?
I second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 I'd like to thank at the moment Dory for all of her service. Dory was one of our founding board members and has served on our board for many, many years. So thank you, Dory. Okay. We're on to Layla. The change of teacher of record.
All right. So the board will review the changes to the older elementary cohort that have resulted in the security of George Moby, emergency certified instructional assistant, as the long-term substitute teacher of record for the older elementary community. In review, this change was due to the loss of student population that resulted in a class size too small to justify the hiring of a teacher outside of PCM. The population is too small for the size of the 1-2 classroom, and is also not cost effective. Movement of the older elementary cohort to 205A to increase positive learning environment, opportunity for expanded community when appropriate, and it supports more of a co-teacher model structure. It also, the proximity to AC allows for, which is adolescent community, allows for the combined community opportunities when appropriate, but offers the separate spaces needed to maintain separate cohorts. Survey was conducted with the adolescent and older elementary families in the classroom. Team hosted a Q&A meeting. So I'd ask the board to move to approve Jordan Bogey as the long-term substitute teacher of record for the older elementary and community cohort. And that would be a motion.
Do we have a motion?
I motion to approve Jordan Bogey as a long-term sub-teacher of record for the older elementary community for the remainder of the 2023 through 24 school year.
I will second it.
Okay. Any discussion or questions?
Yeah, I'm curious. Sorry, just a quick question. What was Jordan's role prior to this? Like, and what classroom was he in?
Moving the adolescent community.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, well, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I'm a nay.
Thank you, Aubrey. And the motion passes. We are moving on to third-party investigation.
So next, we are addressing a matter of utmost importance concerning allegations of retaliation by the PCM head of school. Retaliation against individuals who voiced concern or participate in investigations of misconduct is unacceptable and goes against our school's values. In response to these allegations, the board agreed at the last meeting to identify a third-party investigator to conduct an independent investigation to ensure impartiality and thoroughness, and to uphold the rights of all individuals involved. Tonight, we share the update that the board has selected Schwab Law Firm to lead this investigation. They bring a wealth of experience and expertise in conducting such investigations and maintaining confidentiality throughout the process. The scope of the investigation will include, but is not limited to, interviewing relevant parties involved in the alleged retaliation, reviewing documentation and evidence related to the allegations, analyzing the school's policies and procedures regarding retaliation, and providing recommendations for corrective actions if necessary. The head of school will be placed on administrative leave for the duration of the investigation and potentially beyond it, pending the outcome. This decision is not a judgment of guilt, but a necessary step to ensure the integrity of the investigation process and to prevent any potential interference. The head of school and staff are aware of this decision, and we are currently discussing a coverage plan to ensure the continued smooth operation of our school during this time. We have met with staff earlier today to discuss the plan. We spoke to many staff members in person and send our apologies for not getting to speak to every staff member in person. If staff have any questions, please reach out or attend our board office hours to speak in person, and we will keep you updated throughout the process. Board Chair McDonald, who has a background in management, business operations, and HR, will provide interim leadership and oversight to the school for the duration of the investigation. This will be on a volunteer basis. We are grateful to the two board candidates who have shown their interest in joining the board, and in doing so, we ensure that we are adhering to our bylaws in terms of board membership. We understand that this investigation may take several weeks to complete, depending on the scope and complexity of the allegations. However, the board is committed to ensuring that the investigation is conducted thoroughly and expeditiously to provide closure to involved parties. As we move forward, transparency and accountability will guide our actions, and we remain dedicated to fostering a safe and respectful environment for all members of our school community.
Thank you, Anna, for the update. Any questions? Okay, Robin is up next to give us some organizational updates.
Our next item is critical organizational updates. As discussed at the last board meeting, the board received 2 notices of perceived problem and 1 request for immediate correction to safety deficiencies from the State Charter Commission. The first notice of perceived problems centered on financial, operational, governance, and leadership issues noted by the Commission. The school has updated the entire school community about the financial status and will continue to do so in public board meetings and letters to parents as updates become available. The school has employed a number of resources and supports, including coaching and technical assistance, to improve its operational and governance capacity, including identifying 2 prospective new board members. The second notice centered on allegations made about the head of school as they relate to retaliation and also concerns about modifying a school program term as outlined in the charter contract. The board initiated a third-party investigation and is putting the head of school on leave during this time in response to these allegations. The school has provided additional clarification about this program element. The third notice, a notice of immediate correction to safety deficiencies, requires the school to submit a safety plan for commission review and has a specific focus on the concerningly high number of restraints and student elopements that have occurred at PCM this year. PCM has a high percentage of students with disabilities, with 24 of our students with IEPs. 24%, pardon me, 24% of our students with IEPs. Behaviors such as elopement and self-harm are documented in some of these IEPs, and we expect to see occasional eloping behaviors and the use of restraint to prevent self-harm. Many of the elopement and restraint instances that have been tracked are with repeat students. This context is important. but we are also very concerned about the high rates of occurrence of these practices. While a designated number of staff are formally trained in restraint protocols, it's become apparent that a retraining is necessary. The board is working to secure this training for the staff. Furthermore, the board will review the school's elopement policy with the support of an outside student behavior safety provider to work to reduce the number of these instances at PCM. The commission sent additional requests regarding the safety plan and several of these issues to us today, and we are hard at work addressing them. Altogether, the school and board have submitted over 40 pages of data, information, updates, and responses to the commission about these concerns in the last 2 weeks. We have been working quickly and diligently to address commission concerns, as well as meeting with parents and teachers to hear their questions, concerns, and ideas. We have met with prospective school leaders and coaches to support our school leadership, including from Palouse Prairie Charter School, Spokane Montessori Charter School, and former interim head of school, Letty Rising. We have been so appreciative of the SCC chairs and for all of the parents involved for their tireless efforts to create, access, disseminate information, and develop solutions to the challenges our school is facing. Moreover, we have been so grateful and proud of the PCM staff for the way they have contributed to show up for our students every day, continue to show up for our students every day. The board has been working hard to balance urgency, responsiveness, rebuild trust, safeguard the legal position of the school, and cultivate stability for students, families, and staff in the moves and decisions it has made over the past several weeks. However, our collective efforts have not led to the outcome we have been working to achieve. The school did not get the opportunity to engage in an extended corrective action process after submitting its responses to the notices described earlier. Yesterday, the commission met with members of the board to notify us that the executive director will be recommending to the full charter commission that the charter be revoked from Pullman Community Montessori, and that the school cease operations, most likely at the end of the school year. The primary reason provided was the school's financial state, the high number of restraints and student elopements of the school, and contract violations. This was extremely disappointing to hear, given all of the work that so many of us have put into supporting PCM. Despite the many challenges and concerns, the through line has been in the hopes to make things better for the future of our school. We have families that are still here, despite those who may not support our school. We are still here. We don't believe our voices have been heard. No final decision has been made as the school is subject to due process. The next step in that process is that the commission will vote at a special meeting tomorrow, Friday, March 15th, from 1 to 2:30 p.m. about whether to initiate revocation proceedings. There is an opportunity for virtual public comment listed on the agenda at 1:05 p.m. If you would like to sign up for that virtual comment, you can do so by filling out the public comment sign-up form by 9 a.m. tomorrow, which has been extended from the standard deadline of 5 p.m. If you'd like to submit written comment, you can do so by emailing charterschoolinfo, all one word, at k12.wa.us. That's charterschoolinfo at k12.wa.us by 9 a.m. tomorrow. If the vote passes, the commission will issue a notice to revoke. PCM will have 30 days to respond in writing. The commission would then review the school's response and issue a draft resolution to revoke or not revoke. If the recommendation is to revoke, the school will have 20 days to appeal the draft resolution, at which point a hearing would be scheduled for the commission to consider all evidence and issue a final decision. There will be opportunities along the way for parents and community members to give public comment to the commission. A final decision would not be made for approximately 2 to 3 months. Representatives of the board will discuss this notice of proposed revocation with the school's legal counsel, as well as with our families at the next SEC meeting and board meeting. Our primary objective is to ensure that our students have the best possible educational option for them, whether that means supporting a transition to another school or working to appeal the commission's decision. We will keep the community apprised each step of the way. We encourage you to attend the board's office hours and the SCC meeting and to bring your thoughts and questions. Otherwise, you have the board's ongoing commitment to overseeing the delivery of the strongest possible educational environment and experience to our students for as long as PCM stands.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments for that section?
Are we hosting the, we'll host the meeting tomorrow? Is it the public one? Or
We can make sure that the link is posted. We just received it actually not that long ago with this info.
Okay.
So we'll put it on Parent Square. Yeah. So we will share it with our community via Parent Square with the email address to send in written testimony, as well as if you want to sign up for the virtual testimony. Okay, we're now moving into our board member interviews. We're grateful to Alan and Christopher for their ongoing interest in board service, despite the situation that we find ourselves in. The school will need strong governance capacity into the foreseeable future, and each of them brings community perspective and strong expertise in key skill sets to support the school. We're going to use our regular procedure for asking questions, which is we will take turns. We are going to start with Christopher because Christopher applied for board service first, and then we will move to interview Alan, and then we will ask excuses so that we can not have the awkward of like discussing you while you're in the room. And I will do my very best to communicate to you this evening after the board meeting. And so the order we're going to go, we're just going to do it in alphabetical order. So it's Anna, Aubrey, and Robin. I nearly put myself at the end for my last name, W. I'm used to being at the end. So I think, have you met all of the board members? Do you want us to do?
Yes. I haven't met you, but
Remotely, but not in person.
I have actually met you. I think that I've met everybody. I actually sat at a board meeting where Rob and Eric joined.
Yes.
I think that she is a great addition to the team here.
Absolutely, thank you.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Audrey, I spoke with Audrey one-on-one in other context.
Okay, so
It is, hey Bev, I'm sorry, it is hard to hear them. I've been able to hear all three of you really clearly this whole time, but I can't hear our interviewees.
Okay, speak up, Alan.
Chris, do you want to maybe move closer?
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you for calling that out, Aubrey. Can you hear now? Chris, do you want to just say hello?
Yeah, are you able to hear me okay now?
Yes, that's fantastic.
Excellent.
Okay, so we'll start by letting you maybe introduce yourself, then we'll do a round of questions, and then it'll be your opportunity to ask us questions.
Okay, so my name is Chris Albano. I'm a hardware engineering technician at Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories. I support research and development there. I am a general purpose nerd and a father/godfather of children in the school. I love seeing how much both of them have grown this year. And for me, the proof's in the pudding. This school has done incredible things as far as both of their self-confidence, both of their academic progress are concerned, both of their social progress are concerned. And that's saying a lot because they have some pretty serious challenges coming into this. And I am grateful for the opportunity to be here, and I hope to contribute.
Thank you. And do you go by Chris?
Yes.
Okay, for us to call you that, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anna, you're up. Oh, Sunny.
It's okay. So I think if I could just ask you to elaborate a little bit on your skills and connections and the characteristics that you would bring to the PCM board, that would help us further pursue our mission and values.
I suspect probably the skill that is going to be most valuable in the short term is that in a previous career, I was an EOD soldier in the Army, and that involved having to learn how to do a lot of legal research, how to read standards and understand them and figure out what the correct questions to ask lawyers were. And I have a feeling that we are going to need to know that as a school.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, I don't know about questions that will pull other things out, so I'm good for now. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, can you describe an experience in which you had a leadership responsibilities with a group? What worked? You kind of did, but maybe you have different ones if you want to share that. But what worked or what didn't work, and what did you learn about yourself?
So one of the things that I've learned, leadership is not something I go into eagerly. When it needs to happen, it needs to happen. And I appreciate people who specialize in it because it means I have to do it myself. However, in knowing this, I also understand and have had a lot of experiences where it's critical to be a leader. If you know a skill that somebody else doesn't and it matters for their safety, you have a responsibility to take leadership, to grab them, take them out back of the shop and train them and make sure that they are proficient so that if they end up in a situation where they need that proficiency, they have it. So I can't go into a lot of specifics about training as an EOD technician, but that was the area where I discovered how much I like electronics. And I don't entirely understand, even in hindsight, how I ended up being the subject matter expert really for the entire battalion. But I did, and that meant that whether I liked it or not, I was in a leadership role frequently. I was constantly training other soldiers on how to think about electronics and how to think about them specifically in that context.
Thank you.
I'm just going to ask you a question about your commitment, your time and energy. And so just wondering, we expect about 12 hours per month, and just for full transparency, most of us have given more than that recently. So are there other things that, that maybe would claim more of your time or your passion? So I guess what I'm asking, do you have time and energy to commit?
Suffice it to say that I've spent probably 20 hours over the last week reading through our CWs to get a handle on what are the right questions that we need to be asking our lawyers and how do we address this process and ensure that the school gets due process. Make sure that we are doing right by our students.
Okay, thank you.
All right, on to philosophical alignment. Describe your vision of an excellent public school and describe what role you feel the board plays in achieving such a vision.
So the second part of that's a lot easier. The purpose of the board is to provide governance, to provide feedback, and to ensure that the school is meeting its legal and moral requirements. And it's a little bit harder to address what those are, particularly in the context of a charter school, because it is a little bit experimental. It's not doing what all of the things that a normal public school is doing, but it is held to the same standards when it comes to ensuring that the students are making appropriate academic progress, that they're in a safe environment, and that they have everything that they need to succeed. Really, again, the board's purpose is to try and remove obstacles to that, to ensure that the staff have everything that they need to succeed. And as a consequence of that, the students have everything they need to succeed.
And then how does that look in the future? I mean, how will we know that we're successful?
I think that some of those students are already there to see it. The 80%, I think it was, approval rating from current parents speaks volumes to the school, particularly when you consider that almost 1 in 4 students here has some sort of an IEP. It is not easy to meet the needs of those students in particular, and this school does an outstanding job already of that. And obviously, we have opportunities to improve, and I anticipate that approval rating from our current parents and families will just continue to go up as we find ways to further facilitate the staff accomplishing their jobs.
So as you consider being part of this board, what role do you envision yourself playing on the board if you were selected?
Honestly, probably the biggest thing I can do is be a researcher and distill information, find the parts that are most important, and share them with the group, and hopefully reduce the amount of time that other people have to put into that primary research.
Can you provide an example of a time where you identified an area you need to grow in? Discuss the steps you took to identify how you address growing in this area and what tools and methods you use to check in on your progress.
Oh, so many of those. I think the one I'm going to pick, though, is another experience from my former career as a soldier. When I graduated from EOD school, I really wasn't very good at electronics. I didn't, I wouldn't have been able to tell you the difference between a pixie and a electron, quite literally. But I also understood from my time going through that school that was something that was absolutely critical that I get good at. And I committed to spending literally every free hour I had for the next year and a half learning everything I could about it. And it ultimately paid off. When you're willing to put in the time, put in the effort, recognize that there are places you need to grow. There's really not much that a human being cannot accomplish.
Thank you.
What ideas, if any, do you have to leverage your networks and connections that could benefit the school? Or how might you advocate for the school both publicly and privately?
Well, that one's probably the one that's hardest for me, honestly. I'm a hardware engineering technician. I work with a lot of engineers, but I'm not one. I don't interact with anyone who really has a lot of Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories and has the ability to make decisions for how they spend their altruistic resources. What I can say and what I will do is I will be an advocate unapologetically for the people that I do work with. And I will make sure to the best of my ability that the school is not maligned in the public sphere. I will unapologetically stand by and defend it because it's worth defending. The little people who go here are incredible people. And again, 1 in 4 have an IEP. And the serious problem with IEPs in the American public education system is that in a traditional American public school, they do not work. They fail more often than they succeed. And I'm seeing, again, in my 2 little people living in my home, I'm seeing worlds of difference from a year ago. And I guarantee that's not an outlier. That's almost certainly just typical for the students that this school is serving.
What do you like and dislike about the charter school idea, or what do you think about the long charter school sector?
I think the thing that I like most about it, from reading the RCWs, is that it does give a little bit of latitude to explore different ways of teaching and try and discover other opportunities that maybe can be beneficial to more students and maybe can be incorporated into the public education system. What I don't like about it is that there are a lot of ways that it can almost be Kafkaesque in its indifference when things aren't going to plan. Things like RCW's discussing that there have to be a cap on the number of charter schools. And if there aren't any free charters that schools that are trying to start will have to go through a lottery process. I don't like that if they do close PCM, odds are Pullman will not have another charter school until all of our kids have graduated from high school. And I think that there are a lot of people who do not understand that.
Is there anyone has any other specific question for Chris? Okay, thank you so much for your time and all the work that you've put in preparing for this interview.
And thank you guys for your time and for this opportunity.
I'm sure you
As long as your expectations don't
Okay, it's Alan's turn. Alan, would you like to introduce yourself to the community? And we're going to follow the same process. Oh, I forgot to ask Chris if he had any questions. Yeah. I actually forgot about that. Sorry, Alan. He has communicated. He has, I think, already asked them. I'm so sorry. I am so very sorry. Okay. Do you have any questions for us?
I think that most of them have been addressed kind of on the side and just in the process of getting here. I guess the one that I have, I'm not sure you can even address it here, is do we have a plan moving forward provided that our charter is not revoked? How are we going to, beyond what was proposed last month in the board meeting, how are we going to go about ensuring the future of the school?
I was going to say for myself, I am committed to, giving it everything that I can to ensure that we provide all the information that's being requested of us from the Charter Commission staff, and being present, giving testimony for meetings like the one tomorrow. So that is one commitment you can have from me. I've been, along with Layla, we were being involved from before we even had a charter. We know how much work this has been. And I hear from families that are like, it's not that we want the school, we need the school. There's a difference between a want and a need. And parents are stepping up and telling me, we need the school. And so that's a commitment that you have from me, that I will do everything and give the time that's needed to address concerns that are being brought to our attention from the commission staff. And we work a lot on that. And we just received this notice yesterday, but ideas are already percolating.
Well, see, the parent community has been so collaborative on finding out what the community wants, what has worked, things that haven't worked, and looking for alternatives. So something the parent community is being very actively involved in as far as what does the future look like. They're looking at deadlines for submitting requests. I mean, they're diving in deep. So at this point, it's definitely going to be a collaborative effort. And I think because of that, we don't know yet what our future holds. But we know that we definitely want our community support, and we want our community to have a say in our future as we move forward. That's very important.
Definitely. And that collaboration is going to be a key. None of us do incredible things on our own. I think that's everything. Anything? Well, thank you guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so sorry to think about that.
Not a problem.
Okay. Good night. Alan.
Introducing myself.
Yes, please.
I'm Alan. I have been in Pullman 4.5 years, about, with my honey. I am a native of the Coeur d'Alene area, and my wife and I lived there for many years, but it came to be a parent, it just wasn't our place. So after I retired in 2019, we decided we'd move here. It's not random. My daughter and her husband and their baby son at that time lived in Moscow, so it just made all kinds of sense to move here. Honestly, I thought I would miss the city. Coeur d'Alene's not Atlanta, but still there's a lot of noise and action and opportunity there. I don't miss it. I love the Palouse. I'm really surprised by that. So I'm here to stay for a long time. I've been married to my honey for 44 years. We have a grandson, Sullivan. He is in kindergarten here. And we also have a granddaughter, 2.5. Love that child, love them both, and I want her to be able to go through the school too. What it's done for Sullivan is just astonishing. He started out this school year a couple months at Jefferson, which is a fine school, but Sullivan was having, he was like a wilting flower. He's not a shy kid, but he's very sensitive. And the amount of attention, opportunity, and self-paced learning he gets here is just amazing. So I'm in it, in the Palouse. Let's see, how do you get to know me? Since retirement, I do have time on my hands. How I feel it is, since retiring, I've been in a couple of nonprofits, remote only, and for those I did video production and some music composition, but mostly video production. And in the first one, I was a team leader, so I did a lot of mentoring, teaching of video editing too. Not videography, I don't do camera, but I do a lot of editing and effects. That's been fun. Both of those were, again, remote. The first organization failed after about 2 years financially, so that was no longer an opportunity. The second one, I just had some pretty difficult ideological issues with. It was an organization that educated and supported victims of sex trafficking, which is great. But the organization itself, though, its ideology was troubling to me, so I didn't stick with it. So here I am. A happy Pullmanite. Cool. Little trivia. I had a heart transplant 5.5 years ago, and it's amazing what a young heart can do for an old body.
Okay, so I was going to suggest, should we keep the same, or if you want to keep going first, or maybe we start somewhere different so we get the opportunity to ask some different questions. So you just start, but start somewhere different. We'll follow from there.
Okay. No, actually, I think that's fine. So you did mention that you had been part of some other nonprofit. Do you have additional experience in past governance or serving on boards? And then was it effective or not?
Serving on boards, I have been, I was treasurer, of Inland Northwest Opera out of Spokane, and yes, I enjoyed that. I was in that role for 3 years, and it was a organization that was always hand to mouth, as so many arts organizations are, and just in the last few weeks, I understand it was unable to sustain itself. But I was there for about 5 years, 2010 to 15. So in terms of governance, the board there referred to itself as a working board, Anna, and I don't think governance was a strong suit. I'm used to governance because I was corporate controller in a publicly traded company, and there's governance all over that from the board as well as frameworks from the government and accounting bodies and so on. So I didn't really have the concept of governance tested there, but I sure did in my workplace. And now I'm also on the board of ATVP upstairs, Alternatives to Violence of the Police, and that board is very good with governance. And how I would define governance from my own reference is it's a talented board with a lot of experience that can share that experience in the form of recommendations to management, and also knows and applies well the bylaws of the organization, the policies, and helps administration stay compliant and lend expertise whenever possible. Did I answer your question? Did I answer it like 10 times too much?
Okay. Can I jump in here? Is that just a follow-up question from that? Because I read the resume, but just for our community, you mentioned that you were a treasurer, and just maybe give us some little info on your skills that led you to be the treasurer, or your experience.
Okay. I have some experience with nonprofit accounting. I've got a lot of experience in for-profit. I hate to say that. For-profit accounting. Repeat your question.
I just wanted you to let everybody know what's your background in finances.
Okay. Well, I'm a CPA. My license is not active. I'm a CPA, and I was a corporate controller of a publicly traded company, which exposed me to a very broad range of finance compliance, governance, reporting issues, many standards, lots of reading about what you can do, how you say it, how you don't, a lot of writing of boilerplate, which I would like to have written different, but that's not the way it's done when you're writing to the government. Lots and lots of experience in that. When I was IT director, likewise, I was subject to a governance framework called COBIT, and same thing there. Lots and lots of compliance, reporting, understanding, accounting, and IT very well. As to nonprofit, I guess my experience in accounting and being a treasurer of a nonprofit was a little limited with the opera company, but I do understand not-for-profit accounting.
Thank you.
Answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. Aubrey, sorry, I took your turn, so I'll skip.
Aubrey, were you able to hear me?
Yep, I'm able to hear you. Thank you. My question for you surrounds around philosophical alignment. Can you describe your vision of an excellent public school and what role? You talked a little bit already about what role you feel the board plays, but if there's anything you want to add about how the board plays achieving that vision. So again, describing your vision of an excellent public school.
I know that there are measurement systems, Aubrey, and anytime a goal is set, there needs to be measured. There should be a measurement system to accompany it. How else do we know if we're getting anywhere? In education, honestly, Aubrey, I'm not very well abreast of what those measurement systems are or reporting tools. So I really have to listen to experts like everybody in this room except me. But some of it is experiential too, Aubrey. Like when I walk through here, when I listen to Sully and his friends, Mac and Leah and others talk about how they go about their school day, they're happy and they're engaged and they come home and they can do things that really, really surprise me. And how would I describe a good public school? As best I can, experientially, that's about it. Other schools, the kids seem to march. Here they I wouldn't say frolic, they're orderly, but they just seem a lot happier. Sum it up, I listen to experts, and in this role, I would need to also watch metrics. How do we measure our performance impartially? Did I answer your question, Aubrey?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. All right, this is around your skills and expertise. What would you do if the media or some local groups opposed the school?
Well, I was in my employment well trained on media relations, which means for me none. Kindly, assertively refer them to somebody who is authorized, I know, to be authorized to speak on behalf of the school. And if that came to be me, of course, I would need to understand that and be well trained in how to respond to it. But in the meantime,
I would like to just step in there and say we do have resources available to us to help us with activities such as that. So if you were ever in that role, you would be supported in that role. We get support from WAR charters, and they have a communication specialist who can work with us. And we also have a board coach from Board on Track. So Board on Track, sort of the organizational structure that we use for posting our board agendas and board minutes. But they have resources and trainings, and we also have a specified board chair. So I've been able to reach out to her and ask for specific help. So for things like that, just wanted you to know we do have resources for when we face situations like that.
thank you. So my starting point is Colorado. Yes, as the board evolves, my role evolves with it. I'm perfectly able to do something like that.
Okay, thanks. Round two.
Your question, okay. So what qualities do you think make some boards more effective than others?
More effective?
More effective?
Effective. What qualities makes the board more effective than others? Chemistry, very difficult thing to tell. That's a combination of engagement and respect. I guess you know it when you see it, you know it when you feel it. The ATV board, for example, is just terrific in terms of chemistry and engagement. I don't think anybody's afraid to speak up. To me, that's a functional board. I don't know if the board does self-assessments. In my employment, they did, and that's a very, very good tool to see, probably on the same page, do we have somebody who never speaks up or somebody who speaks up too much and those kinds of things. I would hope that the board does something like that too.
And a question, and that is kind of like what characteristics would you look for on your board peers? Like what type of person do you look publicly interact with? What would you be looking for to make yourself feel comfortable on the board?
Make myself feel comfortable. Okay, I'll go back to my very recent example. The treasurer of the ATVP board is very kind and very personable and also very pointed. I can count on him if I say write a policy, which I did, which seems to him overly geeky. He felt he could trust, I could trust him to tell me. I'm not sure if I said that quite right, but anyway, I would look for that kind of candor and respect simultaneously.
I didn't know where I was going, or if you're going back. That's okay. So I'll go. What ideas do you have to leverage your networks and connections that could benefit the school, or how might you advocate for the school publicly and privately?
Okay, so Aubrey, you're talking about connections and the ability to bring resources into the school from outside, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, Aubrey, I feel like I have a pretty strong hand here, but that is not my strong suit. I'm fairly new to the Pullman community, introvert by nature, so I would be wrong to say that I can bring much outside the community, outside the PCM community in with me. At the same time, if I have time to practice and think ahead of time, I can do networking. I can even be good at it. It's just not first nature. So if the board needs people to go out and engage with community leaders, with parents and so on, I would really welcome that. Anything ready-made to serve tonight? No, I don't.
What role do you envision yourself playing on the PCM board if you were selected?
Well, because education is not my background and neither is community involvement in Pullman, I would say that by default my finance background is how I could best serve the PCM community. All of you have some of it, but I made a career of it for 30 some years and got certified in it and so on. So I think that's probably the greatest set of tools I have to offer. Also in IT, I was IT director, and IT changes every day. My experience is now 6-7 years old, so I don't know protocols and modern devices and all that. But the governance of IT does not change much over time, and that I do know.
Thank you.
Totally answer your question?
Absolutely. Right now in our history, financial sustainability is a big topic, right? It's important that you are able to identify opportunities and move forward and become stable. Are you willing to keep fundraising as your top priority, regardless of your role? And if you don't have any experience, are you willing to be trained?
Absolutely. I think everybody must have some degree of experience in fundraising, but the willingness is the first thing, right? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And if my comfort zone is here and I have to go there, that's growth for me. I'll make myself get out there and do it, and without prodding.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions? No. I'm remembering this time. Do you have any questions for us?
Oh, I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. If elected, it would be important to me to liaise substantially with the parent and other community around this school. And I understand the Washington Open Meetings Law, and we take some risks if we have a quorum in a public setting. I get that. Around that, I would like very much to spend a lot of time with the PCC, with other ad hoc gatherings of parents and other community members. Do you think that the board would welcome that?
I already do spend time in those communities, and now that there's enough of us, if 2 of us go, it would be fine. We may just need to rotate, right? Yeah. Like if Bev wants to go and you want to go and I want to go, we may have to decide, okay, I'll set this one out, you guys go ahead and take it over, let me know what happens, send me notes, but absolutely.
Okay.
So if both candidates are elected tonight, we will have a board of 6. So quorum is a simple majority, so quorum will be 4. So 3 of us could attend without, establishing a quorum. And in previous times, like if the schools had like an open house, or they've been doing like the what is it? What's the fair? What is it called that you do? The cultural fair. Thank you. The cultural fair. If we all wanted to attend, we're going from class to class. We just make sure that we're not all in the same classroom at the same time, and we can still go and visit. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it's a really important role of the board, and especially now we're really reaching out to our families and hearing from our families, and our SCC, which is the Support and Coordination Council, are really being like reactivated, energized. I don't mean that in a bad way. That word's got a bad connotation now, but I mean energized, very, very engaged, really wonderful, and they are asking for board member attendance at their meetings. They are really wanting us to hear from them.
Good, thank you. Another question, I hope I don't come at you from left field with this one, but does the organization have directors, officers, liability insurance for unpopular decisions that we might make? Okay, thank you. In addition, is there any statutory protection for people in this role in Washington that you know of?
Not that I know of. Yeah, not that I know of.
Okay, that's not a big deal, but it was worth asking.
Yeah.
I'm here to do good, not to cover my thoughts.
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, you asked about my particular skills, and I mentioned that I saw that my financial background, I felt could probably be of most service here in this organization. Do you sense that that would be welcome to the leadership of the school and the board in terms of, across the table, let's look into this. Can we afford this opportunity? Can we set up the scenario? What happens to the costs and go out 5 years? That's kind of where my background lies, is in doing those kinds of multiple variables with unpredictable outcomes.
That would be very welcome.
Yes, and for the interim, while you for the rest of the year, yes, definitely.
Okay.
And I actually am going to be reaching out, because that's what I've been trying to crunch numbers and scenarios for another meeting here after we have another meeting with Glavish tomorrow. So after I have some more information, then I was hoping to have a collective meeting with dual vote partners as well and dig into some ideas.
Yeah. Thank you. And I have copies.
Aubrey, did you want to say something?
Nope. It's good.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think you can say you've met with Matt. I think.
I did meet with Matt one-on-one. I was wrong to say that. I was in the last finance committee meeting.
Oh, you were in the time. Okay.
And then he's provided me a copy of the budget model, which I've delved into. It's pretty deep.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that he would welcome
Yes.
that too. I'm a local liaison. Okay, no other questions?
Awesome. Thank you again for your time this evening, and I will do my very best to reach out to you later this evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and like I said, I'm a two-year-old granddaughter.
Yes.
Thank you three for listening in.
No, you don't. We're not in executive sessions. Just the candidates. It's kind of awkward. To be talked about while you're in the room. Okay. So let's consider Chris first, because he interviewed first, and then we'll go to Alan. I'll start because I did check Alan's references and had conversations with 3 people that he all served on Teams. They all said he has a lot of experience in working with teams. Somebody said that Chris has a great appreciation for complexity, and he can really handle complex situations and provide incredibly insightful solutions. And other words, major collaborator, they were responsible, detailed. Somebody said he was awesome to work with. So I felt that they were all very, very positive input. Somebody mentioned his ability to troubleshoot, and that he's been a tutor, so he does understand a little of teaching, and also can explain things in a way that people can understand it. So I think he has lots of skills that he will contribute to our team.
Well, just in looking at his resume, his background's in communications and electronic systems, so he's dealt with managing teams and working with multiple people. He's built to being able to step in and out of leadership roles when needed. I like that he recognized that it may not be the one thing he wants to do is grab onto being a leader, but if the situation demands, he can and has done it successfully.
The only thing something I'll add that I saw as a pro was his attention to detail and his willingness to really dive deep. I mean, being able to quote RCWs was pretty, made me really appreciate the time that he must have spent to be able to have that knowledge for this interview. So that was really impressive to me. And also just Darius said, attention to detail around those things.
I think what I was hearing is the data pieces and he likes the research, and I think he will be able to maybe figure out patterns or concepts that maybe we can't see if we're just in one train of thinking, and so that is something that I think would be valuable to us as well.
Yes. Yeah. The willingness to do a deep dive and understand the RCWs would be a great skill to add to our board.
Were there any concerns or cons that people were that are maybe reasons of not a good fit?
I really like that he's invested in the school. He has some education experience in his background. He was a tutor in college. I mean, just that and attention to detail. All those things put together build a good candidate, I feel.
What I think too is we're looking at the board in the short term and needs all hands on deck, that willingness to dive in and to help continue positive momentum to maintain PCM. But then in the long run, what other skill sets do we need to bring into the board, and do these candidates, provide that for that long-term stability? And I think in the moment, it is a yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? No. We need a motion.
Individually.
I would prefer it. I think just because we interviewed them both, separately as individuals. I just think it would be cleaner. And it's also in the agenda that way to record the minutes. So there we go.
I move to vote on to appoint. I move to invite. I move to invite Chris Albon to be a member of the Board of Trustees.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we've got a motion in a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. It's unanimous. And let's go on to Alan.
I think he has some obvious skill sets that we want in terms of being CPA in his past, being familiar with working on boards in different capacities. That will definitely bring a lot to us just in those two skill sets. And he seems very methodical and considers what he's saying, very thoughtful in what he says.
Has a lot of experience in compliance, at which, you know, is something that there's always compliance around schools. So someone is willing to dig into that. I liked his honesty and his willingness to learn. You know, it was like, that's not my strong suit, but I could push myself out of my comfort zone to do that. And I would seek knowledge and training to be able to do that.
I had a chance. I've had a lot of opportunities to meet with Alan, and he's been on our finance committee, I think, for the past one or two times. But I also spoke to his references, and one is, or actually I only spoke to one. I couldn't get a hold of the second one, but the person that I spoke to serves on a board with him, or maybe he works with him when he's on the board. I don't know if she's an employee. Anyway, but she said that he goes above and beyond. He's really, really engaged. He asks really great questions, and that even has helped develop their policies and identify blind spots in their policies. He's timely, and he will kind of ask, am I stepping over, is this the support that you want? And is really cognizant of his role on the board.
Anything else?
I did not have any red flags. I thought he could bring, again, different backgrounds and different skill sets to our board that we need now and later.
Okay. There's no more discussion. We'll need a proposal.
I motion to invite Alan McPhee to serve on the board of trustees for Pullman Community Montessori.
Thank you, Aubrey.
I second that.
Okay, got a proposal in a second. Any other discussion? Okay, let's move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, again, it passes with unanimous approval. And so I will reach out to both of them when I go home this evening. And then it'll be your job.
That's my job.
I'll finish up for the evening. That. Okay, it's time for us now to move on to a fiscal update.
Yes. Yes, I just want to provide a quick update for you all. So we do have a cash. We kind of went through cash on hand detailed, month by month, after every AP, after every payroll, and looked exactly how much cash we would have. So we do have 2 payrolls per month and 1 AP run per month. Some automatic debts and incomes arrive twice a month with the state apportionment and the CSP reimbursement. So like I said, we created cash before apportionment payment row and whether the school will have enough cash to make payroll. Starting in June, we do definitely have healthier ending cash balances. Levy equalization in the June apportionment payment, which would be $204,000 estimated. With that payment, we would expect all vendors to be paid by the end of the fiscal year. However, we did create a no equalization tab. So in case the governor does veto it in this scenario, unfortunately, PCM will not have enough cash to pay all vendors by the end of the fiscal year. So what we've done is set an amount of accounts payable that can be paid each month in order to make a payroll, with at least a $20,000 buffer. Thus, each month when we plan out invoices that will get paid that month month, we have to cap the amount that we are paying in order to make it through these really narrow months. And if equalization is paid out in May instead of June, we'll increase the amount of AP to be paid into an amount that allows for the school to make payroll in June and July. So the risk here, though, while obviously some of the months still have low cash balances, we will control the amounts payable and the vendor payments to ensure all payroll can be made. Vendor stopping service, though, is obviously a risk, and we will prioritize paying vendors that might affect the student experience. Now that equalization has been passed, and once the governor signs, we project that all vendors will get paid in June and August once equalization is paid, or when the June and July, August apportionments are made. We currently have 21 days cash on hand, which is about $145,000. And we are meeting again as a finance committee on Tuesday of next week to continue this conversation and updates, as well as meeting with the commission staff.
Thank you, Aubrey. Any questions?
Are we communicating with the vendors who we're delaying the payments for? Are they aware of our plan and when they will get paid?
Yeah, we're working. Well, this is not the finance committee directly, but management is working with the vendors and reaching out to them directly, having the conversations with them already are happening.
Cool.
Did enrollment drop again in March?
Enrollment.
Enrollment 6 last week, 2 for that, and then 2 Friday.
We can't hear you, Layla, or I can't.
I'm sorry. The 2 weeks prior to last week, we enrolled 2, and I think had 1 or 2 drop. This week we had 6 enroll and haven't had drops. And then this Friday we'll have another 2 enroll, so we'll be at 91 on Monday.
Okay. Nice.
Okay.
Which is up from 88.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. That's positive news.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Yeah. And can I just ask how the vendor conversations you've had, how have they been going?
People they're relatively flexible. The ones that aren't just say like, I need to buy this time.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Were there any other questions? Well, it brings us to our closing. That concludes our board working session. We understand the gravity of the updates conveyed tonight and encourage you to reach out to us with questions, concerns, and ideas. There are a range of ways to get in touch with us. Our standing office hours, which unfortunately I may not be available tomorrow, and I will send out an update, but I will be traveling to Olympia to be present at the hearing. Or the board meeting, I'm so sorry, at the board meeting. And I may be traveling during my office hours, and if that is the case, I will definitely make a post. If I decide to stay the night, I will make myself available by phone. And then we also have our board email address, as well as the grows, and grievances form on the PCM website. We will work quickly to respond to anyone. Thank you all so much for your time tonight. And we're in this together.
Okay. So we're closing this meeting at 6:44. Thank you for your time this evening. Good night.
Recording stopped.